Hey there, welcome back to the athomedive YouTube channel. As always, my name is Joey and today we're in the kitchen making something fantastic. I've been getting several requests lately to make homemade Pop-Tarts, so that's exactly what we're doing today. Making homemade Strawberry Pop-Tarts. So sit back, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive right in. So on the counter today we have a really simple list of ingredients. We're going to start with 2.5 cups of AP flour, 8 tablespoons of butter, and as you can see, it's shaved really thin and it is frozen. We have 6 tablespoons of shortening, 1¼ teaspoon of kosher salt, and 1 teaspoon of granulated sugar. And I have some ice cold water over here that I am going to be taking 6 tablespoons out of. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our Vitamix pitcher here, which we're going to be using as our food processor today to get all of our ingredients incorporated into the flour. And I'm going to go ahead and put all of the flour right into the pitcher. Next, I'm going to add the salt and sugar, and then the butter. I do want to make sure that the butter is not all stuck together because, as I did mention, it is frozen. Now, I'm going to pulse these until the butter is incorporated. Now that the butter is fully incorporated into the flour, I'm going to place them back into the bowl. Now it's time that we add in our shortening. I'm going to take the shortening, I'm going to coat it with the flour quite well, and then I'm going to start to work it into the flour. This process is quite similar to when you make biscuits or pie dough. At this point, the flour should kind of have the consistency of slightly wet cornmeal. So we know that we're ready to go. We're going to go ahead and add in the 6 tablespoons of water. And now we're going to work that in as well. Now that the dough is just a little less sticky, I'm going to go and remove as much of it as I can from my fingers and start to knead the dough together. Now I'm going to take the dough and turn it out onto the counter. I'm simply just going to cut it right in half. I'm going to form each half into a slightly flattened disc, if you will, here. Then I'm going to grab the plastic wrap and I'm going to wrap each one with plastic wrap. So as you can see here, I have 2 about even, slightly flattened discus that I'm going to put in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
We are back. It's been about 30 minutes, and so we're going to go ahead and pull the dough out and let it start coming back up to temperature. That way it's easy to work with. And meanwhile, we have 1 egg and 2 tablespoons of milk, and we're going to beat the egg until it's nice and fluffy, and then mix the milk into it. Now we're going to set this aside and we're going to let this sit for 10 more minutes and then we'll be back to start rolling it out.
11 minutes later.
Alright, we are back and it's been about 10 minutes. We've let the dough tip up quite a bit. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to lightly dust the countertop here with flour. I'm going to unwrap the dough and we're going to roll these out into 2 separate, about 9 by 12 rectangles. Once we've achieved about 9 by 12 rectangles, so I'm just going to square off the edges and I'm going to set the excess dough aside. Now we're going to cut each of these into 9 separate rectangles. Now I'm going to simply take a sheet tray with a sill pat. If you have parchment paper or something like that, feel free to do that as well. But I'm going to take 1/2 of the rectangles and I'm going to place them spaced out evenly on the tray. The other half of the rectangles I'm going to go through with just a chopstick and I'm going to poke several holes right through the top. Now, we're going to take the egg wash that we prepared just a moment ago. We're going to go ahead and brush the pieces of dough that are on the tray. Now, I have about 1.5 cups of fresh homemade strawberry jam here. We're only going to use about half of this. You need about 3/4 of a cup. And I'm going to place this right in the middle of the rectangles, leaving the edges exposed nice and clean. If you haven't got a chance to check out the video of us making the fresh homemade strawberry jam, be sure to click the link in the top right corner now. So now that we have the jam all the way around half of the pieces of dough. We're gonna take the other halves and we're gonna place them right over top of the jam. And what we wanna do is we just wanna seal them around to the wet, sticky egg wash. If your rectangles are slightly uneven, don't worry about it. Just as you go to place them together, try to find some that match up well. Now that we have all of these paired up together, what I'm going to do is simply take a fork and go around all the edges and press them together just so that they form a nice seal and they stick well. Once you've crimped these, we're going to go straight into the refrigerator for about 30 minutes.
A little later.
We are about 20 minutes into our 30 minutes of refrigerating the Pop-Tarts. We're going to go and preheat the oven to about 350 degrees so it's ready when we are.
A few moments later.
It's been the 10 additional minutes now. The oven is nice and preheated, and these have refrigerated for a total of 30 minutes. So we are going to brush them with some of the remaining egg wash, and then we're going to go ahead and bake them off for 30 minutes at 350 degrees. Here we are. We have the Pop-Tarts. As you can see, some of the filling did swell and come out, and that's kind of expected with anything filled with anything gooey that's completely full. We're going to go ahead and let these cool down for a little while, and then we'll come back and ice them. All right, we are back. We've given the Pop-Tarts a little while just to cool down now. They are almost cool to the touch. They're still a little bit warm. But we have 1 cup of powdered sugar here, 2 tablespoons or 1 ounce of milk, and we have 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just add the liquid right into the confectioner sugar, or right into the powdered sugar, and I'm going to whisk it until it's smooth. Once that's nice and smooth, I'm going to go ahead and just take the spoon and I want to pour the icing right over top of the Pop-Tart. All right, friends, as you can see, there are our beautiful, warm, glazed Pop-Tarts. And now that these are all finished, if you want, you can go ahead and add just a touch of red sugar that you can find in the cake decorating section of your local grocery store, and add those little crispy, crunchy sprinkles that you get on top of Pop-Tarts. All right, well, that wraps us up on how to make strawberry Pop-Tarts. Comment below and let me know how yours turn out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe. Have a great day.